Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, a little while ago, I was scrolling through a Bo Burnham video, and there were some comments that were saying that Bo is a little bit similar to this guy, and that they both do musical comedy. So I went and looked him up because I'd never heard of him before. Tim Minchin. And I listened to one song called "Some People Have It Worse Than I." Kind of wish I'd recorded my reaction to that, but I mean, whatever. It was really funny. It was really good. His persona was very interesting. His way of playing the piano was like, it's just interesting. It was cool, and I liked it. So I went and looked up what are some of his best songs, and this is one of the longer ones. And I'm excited to check it out. So this is called "Thank You God." Yeah, and before we get into it, as always, whenever I do comedian material, I just want to preface it with, if you are easily offended, don't watch it. It seems like every single time I post a video about George Carlin, there's always someone who's like, "Why are you reacting to something that has language in it?" It's like, what do you expect? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, no idea how offensive this might be. I'm going to assume it's a little bit irreverent, but here we go. "Thank You God" by Tim Minchin. Let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Sorry, I'm procrastinating. Look, there's just something I kind of need to address, and I should do it. I know I should do it now. That over the years, I've realized that a lot of my audience has come to my shows, particularly because of sometimes because I quite often sing about beliefs. Specifically, in the past, I've sung a lot about faith and religion, and if I'm completely honest with you, I've tended to mock some of the, not in general, but some of the more might perceived hypocrisies.
Just sorry to stop it so quickly, but I guess that's kind of, I can see where people would say that reminds them a little bit of, yeah, anyway. The kind of like almost sarcastic way of like being, of what he's doing right now, being like, but some people may or may not have noticed, but I seem to mock them a lot, yeah, let's continue, sorry.
But I just don't want anyone to be waiting for that, because I'm not doing it anymore. Well, I know it's... Look, I should... you've earned an explanation, you're right. Something happened to me, you see, when I was touring my last show in Australia. It was the beginning of last year. And I was doing a gig, not one of my gigs. It was it was actually a new material night, hosted by the Ross Noble, the long-haired, mentally ill northerner. And it's not, obviously. He's a genius, which is a mentally ill person with an audience.
Oh, geez, okay.
He's beautiful. He's Ross, he's the best. And
That's a
he
great
does
line.
this amazing gig, and we were having a drink afterwards, and it was a really nice vibe in the bar. But I noticed this dude who slightly uncomfortably was hovering sort of on the periphery of our group. And I noticed in particular, this tall, really handsome guy had those nice dreadlocks that you can get for about 600 quid at the hairdresser, and he had a shirt open to about here, and he's very tanned. But I noticed him particularly because he had a long silver chain, and hanging on the end of the chain, a quite prominent silver cross. The sort of cross you might wear if you're a fan of intersections. or the lowercase letter T. Or probably most commonly if you're a fan of the apparatus by which first century Romans put to death and tortured Jewish insurgents.
Oh my.
And anyway, he was sort of standing there, and eventually he made the move, and he came over, and it's lovely, polite guy. He said, "Hi, g'day, I'm Sam." His name was Sam. He said, "I'm from Dandenong." He was from Dandenong, which is the suburb of Dandenong, set in the Dandenong Ranges, just to the southeast of Melbourne. And we got talking, but I could tell he wanted to talk to me, and eventually he managed to kind of, isolate me from the pack. And he said, "Tim, I've always wanted to talk to you because I'm a fan of your work, and I don't want you to think I'm offended or anything, but as you might have noticed, I'm a Christian." And he said, I've always wanted to ask you why you don't believe in God." And I said, "Well, Sam, I don't believe in God for the same reason that anyone that doesn't believe in a thing doesn't believe in it, because I haven't yet been offered enough evidence to allay my doubts." And he said, But you don't just go through your whole life only believing things for which you have evidence. And I said, yeah. Well, that's pretty much how I stutter my way through my turgid existence, yeah. And he said, what about love? And I said, well, what about love, Sam? And he said, do you believe in love? And I said, yeah, I believe in love, I think.
Like the storytelling style.
I am loved. Sure. And he said, aha, you don't have any evidence for love.
Yeah, you do.
And I said,
Oh.
I think, yeah, I've got evidence. Sure. I mean, love without evidence is stalking.
Oh, boy.
And he said, well, Tim, if it's evidence you want, how about this? And he told me this story, this incredible story about his mum. You see, Sam and his mother were members of a big evangelical church congregation in the Dandenongs, one of those new glassy type ones. And in her early 60s, Sam's mum had gone to the doctor with a problem with her eye, and he had diagnosed an irreversible degenerative eye disorder. And
Sorry to pause it again, but I'm not sure what this guy's policy, or whoever owns his stuff's policy, is on blocking stuff. So I'm just gonna try to pause it a few times. But so far, I really like the storytelling style of it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting if he's talking about a big church, because the big churches, for the most part, suck pretty bad. Let's just keep going.
Told her that if she didn't get surgery very quickly that she would lose her eyesight, and Sam's mum was afraid. She didn't believe in modern medicine. She didn't trust doctors. She was afraid of hospitals and the idea of surgery. But Sam and his mum went to this church, this incredible church, and that Sunday, the entire congregation of their church, some 1,700 people, prayed at the same time for Sam's mum.
That's a lot of people.
The following Tuesday, they went back to the doctor.
Oh.
There was no sign that there'd ever been anything wrong with her eyes. She was healed. She was cured. And the reason this story had an impact on me is because I try to be intellectually honest with others and with myself, and all I've ever asked for is evidence. And here I was witnessing a first-person account of what can only be described as a miracle.
Witnessing a first-person account.
And I wrote this song. I have an apology to make. I'm afraid I've made a big mistake.
I love how there's a whole orchestra behind him.
Away from you, Lord. I was too blind to see the light. I was too meek to feel your might. I closed my eyes. I couldn't see the truth, Lord. But then, like Saul on the Damascus road, you sent a messenger to me, and so now I've had the truth revealed to me. Please forgive me all those things I said. I'll no longer betray you, Lord. I will pray to you instead, and I will say thank you, thank you, thank you, God.
Music's really good so far.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Thank you, God, for fixing the cataracts of Sam's mum. I had no idea, but it's suddenly so clear. Now I feel such a cynic. How could I have been so dumb? Thank you for displaying how praying works. A particular prayer in a particular church. Thank you, Sam, for the chance to acknowledge this omnipotent ophthalmologist. Thank you, God, for fixing the cataracts of Sam's mum. I didn't realize that it was so simple, but you've shown a great example of just how it can be done. You only need to pray in a particular spot to a particular version of a particular God, and if you pull that off without a hitch, he will fix one eye of one middle-class white bitch. I know in the past my outlook has been limited. I couldn't see examples of where life had been definitive, but I can admit it when the evidence is clear as Sam's mom's new cornea. That's extremely clear. Thank you, God, for fixing the cataracts of Sam's mum.
What type of music is that? Like dun dun da 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 da. I don't like that sounds. I don't know what type of music that's described as or what genre that is, but it works really well in this, like, in the way that this song is super sarcastic. Right at the beginning, it's like I have an apology to make, and you're like, oh no, here we go. Let's continue. Sorry. Let's keep going. I don't think I'm gonna pause it again.
Thank you, God, for fixing the cataracts of Sam's mum.
It's
I have
hilarious.
to admit that in the past I have been skeptical, but Sam described this miracle and I am overcome. How fitting that the sighting of a sight-based intervention should open my eyes to this exciting new dimension. It's like someone put an eye chart up in front of me and the top 5 letters say ICGOD. Thank you, Sam, for showing how my point of view has been so flawed. I assumed there was no God at all, but now I see that cynical and simply that his interests aren't particularly broad. He's largely undiverted by the starving masses, or the inequality between the various classes. He gives out strictly limited passes, redeemable for surgery or 2-for-1 glasses. I feel so shocking for historically mocking you. Your interests are clearly confined to the ocular. I bet given the chance, you'd eschew the divine and start a little business selling contacts online. Fuck me, Sam, what are the odds that of history's endless parade of gods, that the God you just happen to be taught to believe in is the actual God, and he digs on healing, but not the AIDS-ridden African nations, nor the victims of the plague, nor the flood-addled Asians, but healthy, privately insured Australians with common incurable lens degeneration. The story of Sam's has but a single explanation, a surgical God who digs on magic operations. No, it couldn't be mistaken, attribution of causation, born of a coincidental temporal correlation, exacerbated by a general lack of education, vis-a-vis physics in Sam's parish congregation. It couldn't be that all these pious people are liars. It couldn't be an artifact of confirmation bias, a product of groupthink, a mass delusion, an emperor's new clothes style, fear of exclusion. No, it's more likely to be an all-powerful magician than the misdiagnosis of the initial condition, or one of many cases of spontaneous remission, or a record-keeping glitch by the local physician. No, the only explanation for Sam's mum's scene, they prayed to an all-knowing super being, to the omnipresent master of the universe, and he liked the sound of their muttered verse. So for a bit of a change from his usual stunt of being a sexist, racist, murderous cunt, he popped down to Dandenong and just like that, used his powers to heal the cataracts of Sam's mum. Of Sam's mum. Oh, thank you, God, for fixing the cataracts of Sam's mum. I didn't realize that it was such a simple thing. I feel such a dingling, what ignorant scum. Now I understand how prayer can work. A particular prayer in a particular church, in a particular style, with a particular stuff, and for particular problems that are particularly tough, and for particular people, preferably white, and for particular senses, preferably sight. A particular prayer in a particular spot, to a particular version of a particular God. And if you get that right, he just might take a break from giving babies malaria and pop down to your local area to fix the cataracts of your mouth.
Wow.
It's a miracle.
Really, that's it? He ends it on "It's a miracle"? Okay, then. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then. That was Thank You, God by Tim Minchin. I really like musical comedy. You know? Like, I've since Bo Burnham released Inside, there's been a lot of people talking about musical comedy in general on the internet, and it seems like a lot of people seem to dislike it or think it's corny or whatever. And I don't know. A musical comedy is becoming one of my favorite types of comedy. You know, like I like stand-up too, but stuff like this where it kind of puts multiple different, it makes it a really, I don't know, it's a little bit more interesting, I think. And you saw he did stand up at the beginning too, you know? And I want to know if Sam was a real person, like if that entire encounter was. I imagine it was. That's hilarious, man. The song, like the structure of the song, is what's surprising me the most. Like, it's it works perfectly as a song. It has like 5 or 6 distinct sections. Like it's musically really well put together. He seems like a really good pianist. Um, yeah, Tim Minchin. So now I've heard 2 songs by him. Let me know what other songs by this guy should I check out, because I want to dive deeper into his catalog, if you will. And he only has 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is not enough. Not enough at all. Let's see what some of the comments are really quick. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, that's the other thing, is this as well. The sheer devastating amount of scathing sarcasm that this song delivers while still being logically sound and argumentatively concise is absolutely stunning. On top of that, the humor and wordplay is perfect, an ingenious piece to say the least. Yeah, so not only is the music really, really good, his, like, the verses are super catchy as well. Like, wait. Thank you, God, for fixing the cataracts of Sam's mom. Da, 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 da. It works really well, but then everything that he says, like they just said, is perfectly put together and is really funny, but is also making so many different points. Like, one of the most surprising parts about the song was the moment when it got quieter and we had like more of a string section in the background, and like he was like, what did he say? I think he said God's like racist and sexist or whatever. The God that's described by the one of the many a particular version, particular version of a particular God in a particular church for particular people. Man, that was great. Update on Sam. He no longer fears hell. Nothing could burn him as badly as this. We're reaching levels of sarcasm that have only ever been theorized to exist. Oh, this comment's awesome. When you think of a genius response after the conversation is over. Yep. This guy spent countless hours writing, composing, practicing, and performing a song with a full orchestra to tell Sam he's a colossal nitwit. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of amazing. This is just a hunch, but I don't think Tim's apology was that sincere. Yeah, there. So here I was witnessing a first-person account of what could only be described as a miracle. The most passive-aggressive line in history. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should never say anything stupid to a comedian, especially one who can sing. Yep. So, yeah, I mean... Yeah, I kind of not only is it freaking hilarious, I also kind of agree with most of what he says, which is interesting, because before, I have said before that I was, raised as a Christian and still kind of believe in a God, or a original mover, if you will. But yeah, organized religion sucks, and he just listed a bunch of reasons why, and those are not even like there's so many more after that. And yeah, man, the people who talk about like the miracles, it is interesting, and he kind of described perfectly how or why that's so interesting. Is it's like, why is it only for particular people for these little tiny things, like, oh, so this is a miracle. But then all of these horrible things being allowed to happen to innocent people is totally fine, Yeah. Great song. Like the stand-up beforehand. I don't really know what else to say. So thank you very much for joining me. I will see you guys soon. Again, let me know if there's any other songs by this guy or any other musical comics that I could check out. Or any comics. You know, I'm planning on doing more Carlin, more... Is Carlin the only one that I've done so far? Other than Burnham, who I've, like, listened to every single thing he's ever put out, so I really can't continue reacting to anything that he has. Yeah, let me know what other comedians you'd like me to react to. And stay tuned for more typical music reactions. I wrote some, like a little bit of a list down so that I know what I'm doing. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing if you enjoy this type of stuff. I try to analyze songs as best as I can, or just, I don't know, talk about them as opposed to just listening to them. Yeah. All right. See you guys soon. Deathstroke 9 out.